This week in Jamaica Now.
We want money! We want money!
Strikes. Jamaica hobbled by water lockoffs and closed skies as public sector workers take industrial action. On alert, the UWI forced to beef up security after a student is sexually assaulted. Human skeletal remains discovered at old building in St. Thomas, and veteran broadcaster Barbara Gloudon has died. I'm Jovan Johnson, and this is Jamaica Now. The Andrew Holness administration was hobbled this week by a series of industrial unrests in the public sector. Up to Friday, 3 groups of public sector workers had walked off the job, protesting a range of issues, including the ongoing review of compensation. A massive strike on Monday was averted after the Jamaica Civil Service Association informed Friday that it was withdrawing a notice that its more than 30,000 members who are government workers would protest next week. The course changed following a meeting between the union and the Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark. The Civil Service Association issued a 72-hour strike notice on Thursday over claims that the ministry has not properly addressed its concerns about the ongoing compensation review and an outstanding wage negotiation. The association also accused the Finance Ministry of undermining the bargaining process by going directly to workers with proposals to review benefits and salaries that were negotiated through the union. The union also claimed that the government did not have consultations about an intention to remove several negotiated benefits such as concessionary loans, education grants, tuition refunds, qualification increments, and various transportation allowances. However, following the meeting on Friday, the union said it was satisfied that the issues will be addressed. Now, the civil service strike threat came amid industrial action taken by more than 2,000 National Water Commission NWC workers. Approximately 95% of NWC customers, about 500,000, struggled with water lockoffs as a result of the 2-day protest that ended on Wednesday with an agreement for a resolution in 6 months. On Thursday, Jamaicans woke up to news that the country's airspace was effectively closed as air traffic controllers went on strike over faulty equipment. Thousands of travellers were left stranded as operations at the Norman Mann International Airport in Kingston and at the Sangster International Airport in St. James were halted. The issue was resolved within 24 hours as the government provided the workers with interim support. But there was more. On Friday, hundreds of National Housing Trust workers went on strike over an outstanding job evaluation exercise.
Everything the government needs, they take it from the NHT.
Yes!
They're going to build a police station, they take it from the NHT.
Yes!
They're going to build a school, they take it from the NHT.
And you want in a partner draw? You need a partner draw!
And Prime Minister Andrew Holness has appealed to public sector workers and their unions to be reasonable in how they press their case for adjustments in wages and salaries.
It is one pool of revenues. And if we do anything to stop the flow of revenue into that pool, there will obviously be less for us to debate about how it is to be shared out. So whilst we have concerns, many of them genuine and legitimate, and they should be spoken of loudly, don't take action to stop the revenues from flowing into the pool, which you will need to negotiate about. It is not in your interest to do it. Not in your interest. We are committed to the well-established principles of industrial negotiations.
Meanwhile, the opposition People's National Party has blamed the government for the unrest, saying the Holness administration has been arrogant and even ignoring the appeals of workers. Demolition workers employed to the St. Thomas Municipal Corporation have now discovered 7 human skulls and other skeletal remains at the old Loyal James Lodge building. This has forced the police to halt the demolition for a second time, saying there is now a vested interest in the property that is located across the road from the Miranda Bay Police Station. The property's caretaker, who did not want to be named, said he was surprised at the grisly discoveries. It's reported that 3 lodges operated from the space, 2 of which have been defunct since the 1970s. The third was shut down about 7 years ago. The Mona campus of the University of the West Indies says it has stepped up its security arrangements arising from the sexual assault of a female student in a restroom a week ago. The university says it has taken the matter seriously and is providing all the relevant assistance to the police in an effort to apprehend the perpetrator. The Petrojam fraud trial is now underway, where the former general manager of the government agency, Floyd Grindley, and the former board chairman, Dr. Percival Bahado Singh, battling a range of allegations in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court. The two men were arrested and charged in relation to alleged fraudulent claims submitted to Petrojam amounting to $73,620 between December 2016 and May 2018. It's being alleged that Mr. Bahado Singh submitted the claims for overseas travels which he did not attend, while Mr. Grindley is alleged to have aided and abetted the ex-chairman in the process used to make the fraudulent claims. Both men have pleaded not guilty. The Manchester police say two persons involved in the mob killing of 62-year-old Chieftain Campbell have been identified and are being sought. Mr. Campbell, who was due to get married shortly, was reportedly walking along the Manchester Road in Mandeville on May 6 when he was wrongfully accused of stealing and beaten to death. Jamaica is mourning the death of beloved veteran broadcaster and playwright Barbara Gloudon, who died on May 11. The 87-year-old passed away only 11 days after her husband. The former editor of the Star newspaper hosted Radio Jamaica's talk show Hotline from the late 1980s until her retirement in 2015. Mrs. Gloudon was inducted into the Press Association of Jamaica's Hall of Fame in 2013. She was bestowed the Order of Distinction in 1975 and later the Order of Jamaica in 1992. For decades, Mrs. Gloudon, a devout Anglican, was the scribe behind the Little Theatre Movement's annual pantomime. And horse racing fans were dealt a blow with the death of Christopher Armand, whose booming voice as a commentator excited horse racing enthusiasts at Caymanas Park for a decade. The 66-year-old, who later went into sports administration, also died on May 11. Mr. Armand was inducted into the Hall of Fame of Thoroughbred Racing in 2017. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. Like this video on our YouTube page, turn on your notification and subscribe today. I'm Jovan Johnson, and before we go, we take a look at the life of a veteran broadcaster, Barbara Gloudon, who died on May 11.